A rooster is BAWKBAGAWK? I don't know.
BAWKBAGAWK?
I don't speak language of animals.
Or do you? Or do you?
I used to have this belief, long shot, that animals could talk interspecies, like a dog could talk to a cat, right? Because that's what they teach you in cartoons.
Of course.
And
Tom and Jerry.
I always with the dog would be barking to the cat, and I was like, oh, they're just talking, they're just having conversation.
Right.
That's how it is. Gotcha. All right, so looks like we have our blue player here. He is VP Suppy, and we also have BAWK. He is red. Now, of course, we do have red represented as UC Santa Barbara and blue as Berkeley. Suppy, of course, is the supposed ace. The ace of UC Berkeley. So how will he be able to carry game number 2 for his team? What are your thoughts about, again, this map, Metalopolis?
Well, you know, in this map, I mean, you can do one of two things. And honestly, I would assume that Zerg would take an early expansion due to the fact of the rush distance on this map. So the fact that, you know, they are in very distant areas, and, you know, they have the ability to get that early expansion up, and also, if they decide to do some sort of harassment, they could, in fact, deny or make sure that they don't get the early expansion up quickly enough and have the time for them to actually get their expansion up faster than the opponent. So, depending on what Suppy and BAWKBAGAWK does, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But we do see pretty much both players are going to be macroing up as quickly as possible. And very interesting play by Suppy, so we'll find out what these players are going to be bringing out in this game. So
it's interesting because BAWKBAGAWK and Suppy already scouted with their overlords in close air spawn, so they know where their opponents are at this point. They said, okay, I went for my overlord to scout close by air, don't see any creep. I'm going to immediately send my overlord around. Now they're going to send their overlords to check if either player have expanded yet, and when they find out, they'll be able to react accordingly, plan their build orders, make sure that they can plan their games out for both early and mid game. Because right now, again, in ZVZ, anything can happen early game. We saw in the previous game between KangWook and between RoboCop that almost 2 Banelings killed every single drone, but they unfortunately went into the Roach Warren. And as a result, KangWook was able to turn around and win the game.
Yes, so right now I'm actually curious to see where these overlords are heading. So BAWKBAGAWK is very close to the base, and Suppy does see the expansion. So, you know, he knows that the expansion is already up, and he's macroing up as much as possible. But now we do have BAWKBAGAWK is seeing that there is no expansion from Suppy, so I'm curious to see what type of reaction both of these players are going to be doing.
Yep, so as a result, what will BAWKBAGAWK choose to do? He knows his opponent is not going for the same kind of build he is. He's going to be as defensive as possible in a natural way because he says, okay, I have to know that there's something. He has an overlord here. He's going to actually spot some of those banelings here that are morphing behind this tree, so he has to be very defensive. He has to make sure that these banelings do not get anywhere close to his economy line. And it looks like he's going to have a couple of Zerglings do trade for one of those banelings. Looks like that Spinecrawler is about to finish just in time. Will he be able to defend here? It looks like all of the banelings end up dying and killing off that Spinecrawler, and it looks like BAWKBAGAWK going to just be content with killing off this hatchling here.
Yeah, but he's got to watch out for this one Baneling, especially with his Zerglings. Luckily, he wasted that Baneling into the Queens. The Queens are going to be defending this, but there is a lot of Zerglings on the field right now. He is going to be doing a lot of harassment, finally bringing in a few Roaches to just ward off some of these Banelings and Zerglings, and luckily he held it off with flying colors. And if you think about it, I think BAWKBAGAWK actually, you know, did a better job in this sense, but unfortunately, there's Zerglings that do a run by. They're going to be going into the mineral line right now. He's going to be harassing some of those, but I think he has enough just to clean this up. But I think in that trade, I feel that BAWKBAGAWK came out the winner because he didn't lose any type of gas. All he lost was minerals.
Yeah, although BAWKBAGAWK, he got baited completely. Suppy did manage to kill off a couple of drones. He's only killed off 2 at this point. But at this point, he's keeping BAWKBAGAWK in his base, not able to utilize that extra hatchery for any reason whatsoever. He doesn't even have any drones at there whatsoever. And now he gets full scouting information. He's going to pick up 1 or 2 drones here and there. Great control from our Blue Zerg player here.
Very good control of this. I mean, the fact that he's keeping those roaches inside the base, has the ability to do an expansion of his own. BAWKBAGAWK does see it, so it's going to be very interesting, the type of play. Really, they need to start macroing up as quickly as possible. Right now, Suppy is a little bit behind in supply, but not too bad, though. I mean, BAWKBAGAWK is supply block right now, and he needs to get his drone production up right now. And we do see Suppy, you know, getting up that other expansion. So once that expansion does come up, you know, he'll be able to drone up as quickly as possible. So,
yeah, at this point, BAWKBAGAWK knows he's behind because, well, he's behind because he's lost some drones at this point. So he has to make something happen. He has all of these roaches. Is he going to go for a counterattack, or is he just going to play defensive, try to cut his losses? Looks like more Zerglings are coming in here, picking off a couple of drones here and there. And the whole idea is Suppy is able to keep track of drone saturation on minerals. And he says, okay, as long as that mineral line is not saturated, when my expansion finishes, I'll be okay. And he's already starting to transfer drones, getting rid of any kind of scouting overlords. And at this point, Suppy constantly trying to keep BAWKBAGAWK back at his base. He does not want those roaches coming anywhere near him.
Not at all, because once those roaches, and mainly these roaches are defense roaches, just to ward off any type of or harassment and stuff like that. So, you know, he could even put down a spine crawler or two just so that he can move around the map with those roaches. Maybe even take a watchtower or two so that he has the ability to scout off any type of early expansions, even at the gold. I mean, if you know, that would be a really risky move. But at the same time, you know, if you have map control, you know, it's nothing too big, because once you have map control, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah. Map control is huge in ZVZ. If you can get rid of a lot of overlords, all of a sudden you can take extremely sneaky paths around the map. You can try to catch things that are out of position. And that's why sometimes a lot of players opt to go for anti-air very early on, or at least send their queens out to get rid of overlords, like what BAWKBAGAWK's doing. Oh, but the Zerglings are trying to catch the queen out of position. You don't want to lose any of those queens, especially because they basically control all of your production. Suppy taking out a couple more drones here, very, very good things. Small things like this is what gives you the edge. BAWKBAGAWK showing that he's trying to do his best he can defend, but Suppy also displaying why he's considered the ace for his team.
I'm actually curious to see how many drones were lost in that several harass right now. I mean, we do see that 6 workers have been killed from Suppy's harass. So, you know, BAWKBAGAWK, I mean, it's not too bad, but at the same time, you know, it keeps them on point. And, you know, right now we do have them both macroing it up. And honestly, these two Zerglings are going to be not seeing. I mean, I'm surprised no one really has taken any watchtowers. You know, there is. I guess Suppy does see some roaches. Yeah, he does spot the roaches. The roaches are knocking at his base right now. They're kind of just chilling, waiting and buying their own time. I'm curious to see what Suppy's going to be doing against these roaches right now. But he's got a lot of roaches on his own, so he's going to be poking. But, you know, I wouldn't attack on that creep. And luckily he's pulling those roaches right off the creep. And, you know, pretty much microing as much as he can, so...
Looks like at this point, BAWKBAGAWK does have reinforcement roaches. He was waiting for some of them to make sure he can get a great concave, but at this point, Suppy playing defense. He wants to engage with this spine crawler. It'll add great DPS to his army, making sure that he can win while he also on creep. He can rearrange. Looks like are they going to actually engage? BAWKBAGAWK trying to pull back the weak roaches, although Suppy does have the superior concave, and looks like BAWKBAGAWK is going to be forced back here. And of course, Suppy is also waiting to reinforce his own roaches. And looks like he has successfully pushed back BAWKBAGAWK. He does have superior roach counts. BAWKBAGAWK, he is trying to take a third expansion, but of course Suppy does see that with his overlord as well. So even if this attack is pushed back, Suppy might opt to go for a counterattack at this point.
Yeah, and normally, you know, he needs to build up a significant defense against this huge roach force that's going to be barreling down his door. So he really needs to do some sort of, you know, maybe build some spine crawlers at his base, like maybe 2 or 3. There you go. We do see 1 and 2 go down. So normally these, right now he really needs to also use the transfused ability on those spine crawlers. Once that actually comes up, and honestly, here they come. All of the roaches are going to be barreling down, and those spine crawlers don't get up in time. And right now, I don't see him coming out of this very soon. So
I don't know, man. I mean, Suppy's pushing in here, and there's nothing BAWKBAGAWK can do.